Okay, this is part 35 of Rebel. It is kind of late at night, and so that's why the lighting's like this. But I also live in America, and what happens around the 4th, if you are outside of America, is we have our big like Independence Day celebration. So even though this might like come out after the 4th, or the timing might be weird, if you hear a loud noise, it is a firework from the neighbors. I have no control over that, and I don't know when it will happen either. So I apologize, but I really wanted to get this out to you. Okay, without further ado, Eden. The first thing they do is blindfold us. I stay quiet, trying to remember every stair and turn we take. My shoes clank against metal floor, then clip against wood. All I hear beside me is the flutter of Press's breath, soft and rapid. She doesn't say anything. I have no idea how long we walk, but finally we come to an abrupt halt. I stay still, listening intently as our guards murmur to each other in low voices. Their words are too hard to make out. Then rough hands are undoing my blindfold, and I squint in the sudden artificial light. This isn't where I'd been held the first time. Instead of the estate-like property where Han had first taken me, we're now standing on a balcony overlooking what seems like a series of walled compounds. I realize that this is right near the border of Ross City where the biodome ends. When I look out beyond it, I can see the expansive frozen tundra that still makes up the vast majority of Antarctica's terrain. You're back, just as I thought. His calm, smooth voice is like a knife scraping against my skin. I whirl around and find myself face to face with Han. He looks paler than when I last saw him. His skin appears almost entirely drained of color, nearly milky white, and new circles of exhaustion seem to drag underneath his eyes. But his gaze is as sharp and cold as ever, and his smile is the same, confident, secretive, and intimidating. Pressa stiffens. I reach out instinctively to touch her hand, and she startles at my gesture. At my hesitation, Han takes a step closer to us and tucks his hands behind his back. You took longer than I would have guessed, though, he continues. You have a high tolerance for watching chaos unfold. I should have known that, given your past. Remember why you're here. The words clank through me, and I force myself to swallow and open my mouth. When I speak, my voice comes out hoarse. Where are we? I ask. And what are you doing out here? He shrugs, glancing out at the frozen wasteland. The chaos in the city won't last forever, but while it does, this is the best place for us to be. Now, is that something you are transmitting to the military, or are you genuinely here for a reason that matters to me? I hold my hands up. Already my heartbeat has jolted up to a feverish rhythm. No one else knows I'm here, or at least, they don't know where I've gone. Han doesn't look like he believes me. He nods at two of the guards behind him, and they head over to pat us down. I hold my arms up. Pressa does the same. I know you left the city with your brother, he says as we're inspected. What did you spend the last few days talking with him about? We didn't talk so much as fight. I hope the bitterness in my voice is convincing enough. Beside me, Pressa snaps at the woman searching her. The woman shoves her roughly against the glass wall. I take a step toward them. Hey, how about telling your folks to cool it? Han's smile turns amused. What's this? You brought your friend with you. Maybe you're serious after all if you're willing to risk her life. He tilts his head at me. What are you doing back here, Eden? The two guards finally step away from us. Pressa straightens her shirt, still mumbling under her breath, and comes to join me again. If she's putting on an act of bewildered innocence, she's doing a good job of it. I came to find you without my brother knowing. Right now, he's probably sending out search parties for me. I take a deep breath. When I last saw you and you told me what you wanted my help And you told me that you wanted my help on your plans for reconstructing the way Ross City's system works. I'm back here because I'm wondering if you still need me. At that, Han narrows his eyes. Why the change of heart? I hesitate. We may be here because we're trying to fool Han, but suddenly I feel like I'm here of my own free will. Han studies me with the same concern and interest he had on the first night of the drone races. And even now, knowing what kind of person he is, I feel the urge to impress him. I did what I said, I end up muttering, forcing myself to go on with my lie. I had an audience with my brother and the AIS. They're studying the chaos happening in the city right now. And what did they say? Their solution to fixing it all is to just sacrifice the people in the Undercity. I pause here and look at the floor. I told Daniel he couldn't let that happen. I thought that he would understand of all people. When I trail off, Dominic Han studies my face carefully. But he sided with the AIS, didn't he? I look up to meet his eyes. They're still studying me, and I wonder if I remind him of his son right now. They're trying to lure you out with a deal, I say. They might even have broadcasted it by now, but they're willing to meet you somewhere and negotiate a truce in exchange for you disabling your system. I'm not sure whether Daniel and June have already made their move, but when a glimmer of recognition appears in Han's gaze, I got my confirmation. They're setting up a trap for you, I go on, my words speeding up in my urgency. So I came here to tell you that, as a gesture of goodwill. I can give you the details of what they're planning as far as their operations go. A gesture of goodwill. Han is still watching me with that lethal stare, and a shiver runs through me. He doesn't look convinced. I glance at Pressa, and on cue, she pulls out the glass vials that she'd carefully packed for us. My name is Pressa, she says, slightly bashful. I was the one who had the counterfeit money at the drone race. Han nods once at her. I remember you, he replies. Pressa's voice is small but clear, more secure than mine, and I find myself admiring her calmness. Eden told me about your condition, so I got these from the apothecary where my father used to work. Used to? Han raises an eyebrow at her. Pressa trembles for a moment. Han sees it, and to my surprise, sympathy flickers in his eyes at her. I'm sorry, Han says to her, gently now. In spite of everything, I can feel Pressa want to take his pity. Is that what I look like when I feel drawn in by Han's charisma, too? My anger flares suddenly. Mr. Yu had suffered under the level system, but he died because Han had caused this chaos in the Undercity. Han may be a father figure, a man with a painful past, but he's also a master manipulator. Pressa doesn't answer Han's words. She tightens her lips instead and holds up the vials. This is a serum that's supposed to ease the symptoms of your lung infection. I used to make it for my father when he was suffering from his condition. It's not a cure, but it's the next best thing. Han doesn't seem to expect this. His eyes widen slightly and he blinks once. He glances at me before returning his focus on Pressa. And why would you offer me that? He says. His piercing stare doesn't faze her. Pressa lifts her chin. I spent a lot of years helping my dad run our apothecary. His failing health was the reason I started gambling in the drone races in the first place. I know what it's like to struggle like you did, and while I don't agree with your plans, I do believe in your cause. So here we are, helping you out. The question is, will you return the favor? Whatever hesitation Pressa might have had earlier, I see none of it in her response. She's cool and calm. It's as if this reminder of the death of her father has given her new strength. Han doesn't move, but I can tell that Pressa's boldness has brushed past some vulnerability hidden in him, however small. His eyes linger on the vials. I might be promising him my skill set, but Pressa is promising him his life back. Han frowns at me. You think this is enough to bring you both into my fold, he says. You dare to dangle my own life in front of me. Maybe we've stepped too far. Maybe we've overreached. The fear coursing through me starts to make way for anger. Fine, I snap. You want to know the real reason why we're here? Why we're offering all this? It's because I'm sick to death of watching both you and the Antarctican government play your games with the Undercity, while the people there are the ones who suffer from your antics. I've had it. You've seen the riots, haven't you? I watched Pressa's apothecary get destroyed and her father... There's nothing left of it. She had to flee. Is that what you're fighting for? Is that you championing the rights of the lower classes, turning their homes into a battleground? We're here right now offering all we got because I can't stand watching you do this for another second. Stop hurting the people you claim to be helping. Stop all this, and I swear I'll serve you however you need. I'll help you build a system that upends everything Antarctica had. Whatever you want. Just put an end to this. When I finally stop, I realize that I'm shaking. My words must have come out convincing. Even though everything's spelled out in a mess and all I remember is a blur, I can still hear the anger in my voice ringing in the air. Han is quiet. His face is serious now, his eyes thoughtful. Pressa speaks up now in her clear, steady voice. You may think you're taking a huge risk, putting your trust in us like this, but we're risking everything here too. Our friendships, the people we love, our lives. I don't know what Han might be thinking. He might kill us on the spot now, furious with us for having brought his personal problems into this. Or he might toy with us, capture me to use me against Or he might toy with us, capture me to use me again as his pawn. Or maybe, we've managed to strike him in just the right way. Han takes a few more steps towards us. His head is bent down as if deep in thought. He stops right in front of us. Luckily for both of you, he says, the AIS and your brother did indeed try to make a deal with us an hour ago. They announced it in the central city. They set up their people to trap me. He holds out his hands. As you can see, I'm still here, and they failed. But it looks like your information was good. So the false trap has already been triggered. I let out my breath, hoping my relief looks like it's directed at being right about what I told Han. He extends a gloved hand in my direction. You're not in the clear yet, Eden, he says. I'll be watching you very carefully, as well as your friend here. But if you do as you say, then I'll agree to shift my tactics. But I'll hold you to it. He gives me a tight smile. There's something there that resembles trust, something sincere, and even now I feel like I want to believe it. I nod and shake his hand. Pressa does the same, but the look in his eyes makes me afraid even as I feel a twinge of sympathy for him. My words had sounded so real and true to him because a part of me had believed what I was saying, because I'm still convinced, even a little bit, that Han's mission is a good one. What does that mean? When the time comes for us to move against him, will I be able to do it? And what will happen when he figures out that we've betrayed him? I tremble at the thought as Han turns away and motions for us to follow him. If he figures us out, he'll kill us.